Hello, my name is Baruz, and this is assignment 3 for FYT 5147. The aim of this study is to discuss about global warming and carbon dioxide emission, especially the role of 18 major countries. So here's the list of countries that I'm going to discuss about. There are 18 countries that we will see in the web application. They're producing 80% of carbon dioxide that is actually a major affecting trigger in the case of global warming. The analysis that is going to be done is going to be about carbon dioxide emission in each country, the role of population, urban growth, type of energy that is used in that country, fossil versus renewable, and carbon dioxide emission and population correlation should be discussed here, and the correlation between carbon dioxide emission and energy type, which is again fossil and renewable energy. And the last but not least is the carbon dioxide emission and urban growth in each of these. So I'm jumping into um, R here, and I have the UI and server. I'm going to run the application here. So here's the um, panel that I can have the input for selecting the years, and I can select the countries. I have different panels here to play with and see the results. So first, I'm going to start with the carbon dioxide emission in each country. Let's take a look at some of the examples. Here I have Australia selected, and I can select the year, jumping from 2006, and I go to 2013. I can see how it is changing. I can change the country, jumping into Germany, and I can play with the slider bar and see how it is changing. Jumping, for example, to Iran here, there is an increase in the carbon dioxide emission from 2006 and 2015. Looking at a European country like Germany, as we looked before, United Kingdom, which is decreasing. I can take a look at the population. So for United Kingdom, here is the change in the population from 2006 to 2015 with the bars. We can take a look at Italy, for example, or Japan, which, as you can see, there's no significant change. In Germany is the same. Or we can take a look at France, China. Um, Looking at, for example, Saudi Arabia, there is you can see a bigger change here, or Iran is a bigger change here. Then I can take a look at the urban growth in each of these countries. For example, in Iran, I can see again, I can jump back to 2006, and I can play with the slider bar and see how it is changing from 2006, 2007, so clockwise, 2006, 2007, 2008 to 2012, and I can continue and see not so much change here. I can change the country and see what's happening. In China, for example, you can see from 2016 as we go clockwise to 2015, there is a decrease in the urban growth. Take a look at Germany, for example. It's not looking very nice. India, 2006 to 2015. Iran, we saw that before. Mexico, so that's where we can see the urban growth. So we can take a look at the consumption. What I mean by consumption is actually taking a look at the type of energy that is used, the fossil and renewable. So looking at Mexico, a major part of the energy that is being used is by fossil fuel. The green part is the renewable. For example, looking at Saudi Arabia, we can see almost all the energy is used by the fossil fuel. Looking at Iran is again a major part is renewable. Germany, yeah, but still not so much, like something like around 10 to 15%. China, um, and I can take a look at Australia. Here, it's not so much, so it's mostly fossil fuel. France, yeah, has a bigger part used by um, fossil fuel. By looking at India, India is using a lot of renewable energy sources in these cases. Let's take a look at the correlations. How is it affecting? In each of these correlation panels, I have 3 panels for looking at the correlations. There is a description down here, which is interactive. It's changing by changing the country. We don't need to play with the slider bar and changing the years. It's actually through the years and looking at each country. So now we're looking at India and the correlation between population and carbon dioxide emission. It's saying that yes, that there is a normality, so we can actually rely on the results from the correlations. There is a significant correlation between population and carbon dioxide emission. It means that with the increase in the population, there is an increase in the carbon dioxide emission. Let's take a look at another country like France. It is very interesting. There is a significant correlation, but with the decrease in the population, actually carbon dioxide emission is growing. So the result here is that we cannot have the same hypothesis for each country in saying that there is one rule and with increase in population there's going to be carbon dioxide emission increase. That's not true. Looking at Indonesia, there is a significant correlation again. Japan, with Japan, there is no significant correlation between population and carbon dioxide emission. Let's take a look at the emission and fossil versus renewable energy and the effect on carbon dioxide emission. So in this case, with the case of Japan, there is no significant correlation. Let's jump into, for example, Iran again. There is no significant correlation. Looking at India, there is a major and significant correlation here. It means that by the increase of the ratio of fossil to renewable, there is a significant change in the carbon dioxide emission. We can take a look at a European country like France, yes, and there is again a significant change that when you change the ratio of fossil to renewable, carbon dioxide emission is going to increase. And the last but not least is the emission and urban growth correlation. So again, taking a look at the graph for France, here again, there's a significant correlation here. And again, it's checking the normality. And it says, yes, with the growth in the urban population, there's going to be an increase in carbon dioxide emission. Taking a look at a country like Brazil, it's interesting that you can see that with the increase in the urban growth, carbon dioxide emission is actually increasing, which is again telling us that there is no static rule that says that with the increase of urban growth, there is going to be increase in carbon dioxide emission. So thank you. I hope you enjoy this presentation. Again, there are panels here that it can be played with, and it is starting with looking at each country's carbon dioxide emission through the years from 2016 and 2015, looking at the population, urban growth, and the consumption or type of energy that is being used in that country, and it's divided between fossil and renewable, and it's actually discussing about correlation and see which one is actually playing a major role, not globally, actually is a local fact here. That's a major result for us. That it means that for these 18 countries that producing 80% of carbon dioxide emission, there is again no strict or static rule. Is different for each of these countries' population, fossil to renewable ratio, and urban growth are having different effects on the amount of carbon dioxide emission. Thanks for your time.